Good morning, everybody. How you doing? So in today's episode, I'm going to teach you one nerve mobilization for the fibularis nerve, or the fibula nerve, or the common perennial nerve. So this might be really helpful for you if you have some lower back tension, or if you have some tightness on the outside of your hip when you're sitting a lot. But before we get into that, as promised, just check this video out. You guys, how heartbreaking was that? I mean, it makes me want to dance a little bit. Okay, so just to understand a little bit about nerve mechanics first, to simplify it, let's just imagine, okay, so you have your spine, your Wirbelsäule, and it's like one thick giant nerve that splits off. So it comes from here and it splits off into your arms. You have different nerves. You have different nerves that innervate or activate or attach to different muscles for breathing, and as well as, of course, in the legs. So what happens sometimes is that the nerves can be entrapped somewhere or verklempt, and we can customize the exercise a little bit for you depending on where the nerve is entrapped in your body. So it's not the same for everybody. So let's remember that training, like I said in the first episode, training is very much like tuning a race car. So we like to run some tests first to see if what we tuned in our body or in the race car actually improves its performance. So when the exercise is good for us, then it should improve overall flexibility or strength, etc. So when you're at home, then the easiest tests to do are, we have side bend, rotation, and we have forward bend. So we're going to start with my left side. So you're going to point the toe downwards and then inwards. You can push your foot against the wall to hold it. Otherwise, I like to use my right foot to hold my left foot. So what's important is that you stay square. You're going to come forward. So the intensity of the stretch should be a 3 to 5 out of 10. That's very important. And you're just going to hold it there. So now we're going to see what is the intensity of the stretch when we move different joints. So I'm going to start with my knee here, okay? Just bending and then straightening my knee. So honestly, I don't feel like a huge difference or a huge stretch when I straighten my knee. So now I'm going to go to my pelvis, okay? And I'm going to try to tilt my pelvis forward and backwards. And when I tilt my pelvis forward, I get a huge stretch down there. So for me, this is somewhere either in my hip joint or in the lower back area, the SI area, perhaps, where the nerve is a little bit entrapped. So now I'm going to try with my Brustwirbelsäule or my thoracic spine. So I'm going to try to keep my pelvis fixed here. So I don't really get a huge difference. I don't feel a huge difference in the stretch when I move my thoracic spine into flexion or extension. So I'm going to try now bending left and right. So I get a lot more stretch when I bend over to the right side. So two things so far. I have an anterior pelvic tilt, okay, and then I have right lateral bending that's giving me an intensified stretch. So now I'm going to check rotation. So also I get more stretch when I rotate to the right side. All right, so checking my neck now. Not a huge difference. Okay, up and down. So a little bit more when I look down actually. So we're going to try to combine all these positions now. So I'm going to do an anterior pelvic tilt, tilting my pelvis forward. I'm going to do a right lateral bend, and now it's getting more intense, so we're just going to come off of it a little bit. And then if I rotate to the right, I get even more stretch, so now it's going all the way down there. So of all of the points of tension that I have, so to say, you can decide for yourself, okay, from where am I going to mobilize the joint or the nerve, okay? So I could stay in this position and then tilt my pelvis forward and backwards, or I could keep rotating, or I could keep bending, or I can tuck my chin. So I think I like the chin tuck the most, okay? So I'm going to do, it's up to you, you can play around with it. Anterior pelvic tilt, lateral bend, right rotation, and now chin tucks. So remember, keep the intensity of the stretch a 3 to 5 out of 10. It cannot be higher than this because you risk overstretching the nerve, and that's always a bad thing. So if you do it correctly, then it should feel like the nerve tension begins to reduce, okay? So I'm just gonna try one more time. And so it is indeed reducing now. So I'm just gonna shake it out. You can walk it off a little bit, okay? And then we'll do all of our tests again. So the first thing we had was a lateral bend, right? So it's about the same on this side. Somehow I also get less tension on this side now, even though I did the left leg, there's less tension on the right side. So you have to understand that the nerves, they travel up through here, and they're kind of like mirrors of each other. So it can be that you get a benefit from stretching one side on the other side. So now I'm going to do my rotations. Okay, about the same for me here. And this side is much better now. So yeah, definitely much better. All right, and my forward bend. Oh, that's better. That's better. Still have some tension, more on the right side now. So I'm going to try the exercise on the right side. So notice that for my right fibular nerve, I get more tension when I rotate to the left, as opposed to on my other leg, I have more tension to the right. Either the same or maybe a little bit more tension on the right side now, I can't decide. This is not better, so this has actually gotten worse. And I'm going to try my forward bend. About the same. Okay, so it's very important to understand that sometimes one side can be overstretched, it doesn't actually need to be stretched, and the other side is understretched, or it needs a little bit more mobilization. So remember that we're not symmetric as humans, and it can absolutely be possible that you only need to do the exercise on one side. So I'm going to do my left side again. test again. That's a little better. It's also a little better. 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 And now my hands are on the floor. Okay, so definitely mobilizing the left side was very helpful for me. Okay, so I realized that was a little bit hard to see, but what's important is that your toe is pointing down. So it's my left side, my foot is gonna point downwards, and then I'm gonna pull the foot in towards the middle. So again, you wanna try pelvic tilting here. And then the next thing I did was thoracic flexion and extension. And then after that, it was lateral bending, rotation, and then, what else? Yeah, neck rotation, and then flexion and extension of the neck. So those are the spinal segments that you can test. And remember, you're looking to see if it intensifies the stretch or not. If it does intensify the stretch greatly, then you know that there's a good chance that the nerve is probably entrapped in this area somewhere. So give that one a try, and I hope it helps you out a little bit. Have a fabulous day, and see you soon.